Hello friends, hope you all doing well. During this lockdown, we people have many restrictions. But what about your learning process? Is it locked down? It should not be happen so. You know that learning is a lifelong process. It starts from the very first day of our birth and end only after our death. So, to continue the learning process, here I am Devesh TM, the faculty of physics, Merigiri English Medium School with you people. Today, we are discussing very fundamental or basic concept or terms in physics. You people are learning physics from your grade 8th, 9th and 10th. You people learned about many things from the nature, like you learned about motion, you learned about force, you learned about lightning, you learned about sound, you learned about light, many things you learned. What are all these things actually? These are some of the properties in nature. So, physics is actually a study about nature and natural phenomena. We know that as nature is made up of matter and energy, we can also say physics is the study of matter and energy. For a beginner, it is the most simplest definition for physics. There are many other definitions. After learning, you can see some other definition for the physics. So, as physics is the study of nature and natural phenomena, if you have a good observation skill, if you are observing what is happening around you, and if you have a curiosity to know why it is happening so, if you have a skill to analyze the things that is happening around you, you can also be a better physicist. There is no final theories or there is no final words of authority of scientists in physics. Most of the laws that you have learned may change. However, today in the sections, I just remind you some of the terms which you learned in your lower grades. So, we already told physics is the study of matter and energy or nature and natural phenomena. So, in physics, you are learning about many physical properties or phenomena which are in nature. So, out of these physical properties, some of the properties are measurable and many other properties are not measurable. We are interested only about the measurable things in nature, that are physical quantity. Such things are known as physical quantity. A physical quantity is the properties which are measurable. Any physical properties which are measurable is known as physical quantity. If you are finding some example for such a physical quantities, distance is a physical quantity. Distance is measurable. Example for physical quantity is distance is a physical quantity. We can measure the distance. What is the distance traveled by the object? you can measure the speed of such a moving object. So speed is another physical quantity. Like you learned about many other physical quantities like force, momentum. Many quantities you learned. Do one thing, that you try to list all this physical quantity which you learned in your earlier classes. Only the thing is that it should be measurable. A physical quantity is a property which is measurable. A property which is measurable is known as physical quantity. List out many other physical quantity which you learned. So now we are seeing that this physical quantity are classified into two. That is, a physical quantity can be divided into two, like a scalar quantity and a vector quantity. I think these two terms are very familiar for you people. A scalar quantity is a physical quantity having only a magnitude without any direction. There is no direction for a scalar quantity. When you are measuring such a quantity, you are getting only a magnitude. Without saying the direction, it is having a complete meaning. For example, if you are saying the mass of the object is 5 kg, we know in a measurement there are two sections. One is a number and the other one is a unit. That is, mass of the object is 5 kg. 5 is its magnitude. 5 is a number. Kilogram is its unit. So only it having a magnitude. There is no direction. Direction is not required for such a physical quantity. So such quantity are commonly known as a scalar quantity. What is a scalar quantity? A scalar quantity is a physical quantity which having only magnitude. There is no direction for such a physical quantity. Example, mass, length, time. We can find out many examples like this mass, length and time for scalar quantities. See, another type of quantity is vector quantity. What is a vector quantity? A vector quantity is a physical quantity having magnitude. One more is it having a direction too. Without saying the direction, there is no complete meaning for that quantity. For example, displacement. If an object is starting from the point A and it's moving to C from it's moving from A to B and finally it reaching C. Actually, this is the displacement to C. If you are not specifying the direction of this displacement, the meaning is not complete. So actually a vector quantity is a physical quantity having both magnitude and a direction. Recall some of such quantities which you learned already. Displacement, velocity, force, momentum. Try to list out as much vector quantity which you learned in the lower grades. So, a physical quantity can be divided into two, that is scalar quantity and a vector quantity. A scalar quantity having only magnitude. There is no direction for such quantity. For example, mass, length, time. We have many other examples. And vector quantity, a physical quantity having both magnitude and direction, is known as a vector quantity. Few examples are displacement, velocity and force. Try to recall examples for scalar quantity and vector quantity. Some more examples. Now we have one more classification. This physical quantity can also classified like this: fundamental quantity and derived quantity. Fundamental quantity and derived quantity. Let us see the word meaning itself. Fundamental. It is independent. A physical quantity which is independent of all other quantities are known as a fundamental quantity. In physics, we have 7 basic quantity of 7 fundamental quantities. I wrote only here 3 quantities. You will learn all other quantities, which are some of quantities are familiar for you. We will discuss such quantities in later only. So here the fundamental quantities are the physical quantity which are independent of all other quantity. We are saying the mass of an object. We are using only that physical quantity, mass. No other physical quantity is required to specify the mass of the object. So mass is a fundamental quantity. Like length is another fundamental quantity. In order to specify the length, we are not using any other physical quantity which are independent. This quantity are independent of all other quantities. So they are known as fundamental quantities or basic physical quantities. Let us see the other type, derived quantities. The word shows that it is derived or deduced from the fundamental quantities. Example, when you are writing the speed of an object, what's an equation for the speed? You are writing as speed is equal to what? Distance by time. Speed is equal to distance by time. What is actually distance? Distance is nothing but it is length. Distance means its length. Total length of the path travelled by the object. That is distance. Time. Length by time. When you are writing the quantity speed, we use 2 fundamental quantities. What are? Length and time. So the speed depends on length and time. So it is not as fundamental quantity. It is deduced or derived from the fundamental quantity. That is why we calling it a derived quantity. So a derived physical quantity is a physical quantity which deduced or which formed from the fundamental quantity. Example, speed, force, momentum, work. We have many examples for derived quantity. To do one thing is that just try to list out maximum example for the derived physical quantity. We have 7 fundamental quantities and many derived physical quantity. Try to list out more example for this derived quantities. So once more I just reminding you all these terms again. Today we discussed what is physics. In very simple words, physics is a study of matter and energy. Or otherwise, we can say it's a study of nature and natural phenomena. And in physics, we are learning about many quantities or many properties which are measurable. And such quantities are known as physical quantity. The properties which are measurable are known as physical quantity. Examples for physical quantities are distance, speed, time, like this are physical quantity which are measurable. And there are scalar quantity and vector quantity in physical quantity. Scalar quantity having only magnitude. There is no direction. Direction is not required to specify this quantity. It is known as a scalar quantity. Example, mass, length, time. And another type, the vector quantity is a physical quantity having both magnitude and direction. Along with this magnitude, you have to specify the direction. Then only the complete meaning we get. Another classification of this physical quantity, we can classify this physical quantity as fundamental quantity and derived quantity. the fundamental physical quantity which are independent of all other physical quantity, which have a self-existence, does not depend on any other quantity. Mass, length, time are some example for such a physical quantity. And other is derived quantity, which is deduced or derived from the fundamental quantity. To form such a physical quantity, we are using some fundamental physical quantity. That quantities are known as the derived quantity. So, thank you.